Welcome to Downshift, everyone. My name is Paulo.
And my name is Matt, and we have spent an incredibly special week with two Rolls-Royce. This is the Ghost Series 2 for 2025. You can think of it as kind of a mid-cycle refresh. And there's a lot to love about this Ghost, and it kind of competes against things like the S680 Maybach, as well as a Bentley Flying Spur. And I'm going to walk you around the pros and the cons.
Yeah, and then we're going to get behind the wheel and talk about the standouts for the week. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. And of course you guys know the place that we start these downshift videos is with the cons, and the only black and white place that I can really ding the Ghost is obviously in terms of price. It's just another universe of money. Now a Ghost starts at $355,000. You compare that to its closest segment rivals, you could say. A Maybach S680 starts at $240,000, so over $100,000 cheaper. A Bentley Flying Spur Mulliner starts at around $300,000, or starts under $300,000, so still $55,000 or more less than where this Ghost starts. And that Mulliner is like the most posh, the most opulent flying spur that you can get from Bentley. And that's not even where it ends, that's just where it starts. As tested, we're here at $453,000. That's $98,000 in options. That's a CT5V Blackwing in just options. So yes, it is prohibitively expensive, but that's kind of the point. This is the epitome of luxury. And as a result, since they do lead the industry and they have the pedigree, they can kind of charge what they want. And this is supposed to be the introductory model. And it's so expensive. And the truth is there's no like cheap or entry-level model or option here. So there's no question that when you see that Spirit of Ecstasy on the hood, it is something special. More than seeing a Bentley, more than seeing, a Maybach that might just look to the untrained eye like an S-Class. There is a sense of occasion. And everyone that I've driven past this week has experienced that occasion as I've wafted past them. And yes, even in a Rolls-Royce, there's a handful of little nitpicks. There's three that kind of stuck out to me this week. One is you have automatic closing doors. You've got buttons on the interior of the car that'll automatically close the door for you. It's very nice, it's very theatrical, but you don't have automatic opening doors. You have mechanically assisted opening doors, and there's an infinite degree of opening. You don't have to wait for like one of the three detents like you would in a normal car. So that is nice, but you have to go up to the Phantom to get fully automatic opening doors. And I do think that would be kind of nice here for the Ghost, since you can get it in something like an Escalade IQ that we were in the other week, or BMW's 7 Series. But anyway, then we move on to the cup holders. Now the front cup holders are just a hair too small to fit my water bottle and some of the more commonly sized water bottles. The cup holders in the rear seats, absolutely perfect, no notes, but the front's just a little tiny bit small. And the last thing, and the last nitpick that I'll talk about is some of the chrome finishings. There's a lot of chrome in the cabin, and some of the air vents are brilliant metallic alloys with nice kind of clink when you flick them, but some of the other chrome finishes are plastic chrome. So it would be nice and just that over-the-top uber Rolls-Royce luxury thing if they were all alloys. But with all those nitpicks covered, let's move on to the places that the Ghost shines. And now the first major pro that we'll talk about, as you might have imagined, is the cabin experience here is sublime. Starting with the seats, they're wrapped in the supplest of leathers I've possibly ever felt. They're heated, they're cooled up here, they massage, and they're three different colors. You've got cashmere gray with a tailored purple contrast color and a black tertiary color. And you've got white Rolls-Royce logos, the double R's, embroidered into the headrest. But from there, the overarching cabin design is just a sea of different textures, materials, colors, perforations, stitchings, and it is just exquisite. This open pore gray wood is fantastic. The fact that the dashboard lower hood is wrapped in purple leather, and you've got the two-tone, thicker purple leather steering wheel, and some of these air vents with the metallic clink that we talked about. Everything is ergonomic in here. All of your climate controls and heated seats and everything, physical buttons. You've got the new Spirit of Ecstasy that now joins your analog clock in your dashboard. It is just theatrical and opulent and everything you're expecting from a Rolls-Royce interior. And what almost certainly has to be the best thing about any Rolls-Royce experience behind the wheel is what I've kind of titled the WAFT, the poise and elegance with which it just just carries you down the road. Now this is a large and long sedan. You do have rear steer to make it feel a little bit more nimble through a corner, and it does have a fairly reactive, it does react when you turn the steering wheel. It actually handles a little bit better than I think I was expecting it to, but at no point is it making any compromises to the luxury, to the comfort in pursuit of sport. You have the softest, well, it's interesting because you have incredibly soft air suspension, and your dampers have dampers here, and you've even got foam in the tires. And it is just, it exhibits a level of poise going down the road that if you haven't experienced, you won't really be able to imagine in your head. It is something that you have to experience for yourself, but it is just fantastic. It even has frontward-facing cameras that read the road and kind of identify potholes or bumps, and they pre-tension or loosen up the dampers to make the ride as comfortable as possible, to handle the imperfections of life as well as possible. I mean, I can keep rambling about this, but the truth is, the point is, this ride's better than really any sedan I've ever been in. And in something like this, you wouldn't have expected them to skimp on the rear seats, would you? Visually, it is just intoxicating back here. It's not for everyone, but I love the cashmere gray with the tailored purple and the padded leather-wrapped headrest pillows. They're just spectacular. Now, we have a more executive rear seating package here, which means we do get the picnic tables, and they are covered in open-pore gray wood. And then we have 2 individual screens as part of your theater package, and now you can stream individual things, so the person on the driver's side doesn't have to watch the same thing as the person on the passenger side. You can make that choice yourself, but you do have the same metallic air vents with the super satisfying plungers. Of course, it's 4 zones of climate control, 1 for each major seat, and we do have some heated seats back here and some massage seats back here as well. This center console here doubles as a control. If you don't want to use the touch screens and gum up the screens with your filthy hands, you can use the center control wheel here in your center console. Of course, I've got some additional storage back here, and I can even, on this side, control the seat in front of me if I want to have maximum recline or maximum legroom. And obviously, you saw we have the button to automatically close the rear doors, and down here by your window switch on your door card is actually a little roller, which actually controls the volume universally for the car. So if you've got media playing in the front and you don't want to be bothering the driver to ask them to turn it up, you can do it yourself. It's one on either side, which is just kind of interesting. We're not going to get rear window shades, which I think is a bit strange, but to be honest, the best time to drive this thing is at night with the Starry Night headliner. You get some shooting stars, and it's just incredibly dramatic and flamboyant. And yeah, I love it, especially with the purple. Okay, so we've covered the WAFT, but let's talk about the driving experience overall, because there's more than just the ride going on here. That is a very dominating part of it, but there's more to it. We'll head into this right-hander with a little bit of pace. I get my foot on the gas, and the 6.75 twin-turbo V12 just roars and thunders to life. It's like riding a wave. It's like surfing a wave of torque. Now this is the same engine and I believe the same tune as the Cullinan that we were just in. 563 horsepower and 626 pound-feet of torque. If you go for the black badge, you'll get a little bit more power, 592 and 664 pound-feet of torque. Now there is no sport mode in here. There's no driving modes of any kind. There is a button on your gear selector that says low, and that basically throws you down in a lower gear and has a little bit more responsiveness setting for the transmission, and the engine will respond a little bit more. So that's your sport mode. But even without it, 0 to 60 is done in under 5 seconds. It's fast enough. It feels powerful enough. It is, I'm gonna quote Teddy Roosevelt again. This embodies the whole quote of speak softly and carry a big stick. It's not showy, it's not brash, it's not thundering around every corner, yelling out the back with exhaust. It's just distinguished, it's civilized, and when it needs to unleash V12 torque, it can, and it will, as we'll demonstrate here. Now, when you do unleash V12 power and torque, the EPA thinks you're going to get about 14 mpg. Now, we did our Lakeshore loop, and we got like 19.2, I think it was. All the power goes through an 8-speed transmission, and I will say, the only time I'm really aware that it even has a gearbox is when we're coming to a stop, when it's downshifting. It is not quite that last little bit of subtlety, of smoothness that we had in the Cullinan. It's a little bit more noticeable. All-wheel drive is standard, of course. We talked about the ride. It is just effortless. But overall, the driving experience, I like being low in this. We were in the Cullinan the other day. I don't know which video is coming out first, so I apologize if I'm getting all ahead of myself. But we were in the Cullinan earlier this week, and there's something about being in this Ghost where I'm just a little bit lower. There's something about being in the sedan footprint that just feels a little bit more authentic to me. I think the Cullinan was a little bit smoother, a little bit more plush, but there's something about this that I like. And when it comes to styling, it's a reserved elegance here, as you would expect from a Rolls-Royce, but here with the Series 2, there's a couple new changes. It starts with your headlights, your running lights. Everything has been refreshed and simplified. You've got an illuminated Pantheon grille, and your lower bumper, your lower fascia, has also been revised and almost sculpted a bit more to clean up the design. But moving back up, of course, you have your Spirit of Ecstasy donning the end of your hood and forging a path as you navigate the chaotic streets of wherever it is that you live. And one of my favorite things has to be this Belladonna purple paint. It's a no-cost option, but it is spectacular. I'm very obsessed with purple paints lately, and this just scratches that itch in an incredible way. But you do, around the side then, have 22-inch wheels. They're about $10,000, but they're very Art Deco, very Gatsby, very Roaring 20s, and I love them. You have the typical front fender Rolls-Royce badge, but the profile is simple and iconic. It is just classic sedan. And of course we have chrome treatments for things like your coach door handles and your window treatments. Now if you don't like chrome, you can go for the black badge option, but the rear design is incredibly clean. Your taillights are subtly revised. There's no real embellishments for the exhaust. You can see quad tips poking out from underneath, but subtlety and elegance is the name of the game here, and I think the Series 2 strikes that incredibly well. And you may not be thinking something as innocuous as technology is at the forefront of a Rolls-Royce, and it isn't. And yet you have everything that you could possibly want without distracting from the experience. I have a head-up display. It's not overly bright or overly sized, so it's not distracting. You can turn it off. I have a digital instrument cluster, and it's purple. It's color matched to the car. That's a choice that you make when you commission the car. There's nothing you can do about it after the fact. But I do like that it is purple and it is color matched. And then over here, your center screen, 10¼ inches. It's running a new Spirit software system, so it's snappy, it's quick, the black levels are good, the processing power is good, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, you've got fabulous 360 cameras as you would expect from the BMW group, you've got that 3D view, a car wash view, you've got backup assistant, and you do have a wireless charger down in here. The only place that I'll ding the car is, again, we're testing at $450,000 thereabouts. And there's like passive lane keep where it'll kind of nudge me back into my lane, but there's no like lane centering, like in BMW's Drive Pilot Pro or Assist Plus or whatever it's called. And that's really the only place I can ding the technology. Everything else, it's got everything that I would reasonably want and nothing to distract me, no useless gimmicks or unnecessary frills to distract from the driving experience. And when it comes to your trunk, it's actually fairly simple. It's powered as you might expect. There's a couple little Easter eggs that we'll talk about in a minute, but the space is fairly practical. It's about 17 cubic feet. There's not really anything in the way of lighting or hangers or chargers back here because I don't suspect people are doing a lot of long-term cargo carrying in their Rolls-Royce. But since we do have the executive, or whatever they're calling it, rear seat package with the seats that kind of recline and things like that, that means we can't fold the rear seats from the trunk. But again, I don't know who's carrying long items through the back of the trunk of their Ghost. But either way, trunk is reasonably practical, so here are a couple odds and ends that I noticed during our week with the Ghost. Starting with your Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament, the iconic silhouette that dons the hood of every Rolls-Royce. Now, this has a couple different functions. Obviously, it has the theft function, so if I try to steal it, it will retract into the hood. And I can also have it automatically retract into the hood when I lock the car. Fold the mirrors in, and then retract this, so people passing by won't even be inspired to steal it. And there's even a customized button on the interior here that I can press to get this thing up or down in a flash. And of course you do have coach doors for not just your rear, but also your front doors. They are automatically assisted, but they're not automatic opening all the way. But one of the nice things is I can position this exactly how I want. I don't have to wait for a little detent or preset opening like you would in every other car. And as you might expect, they're automatically closing as well. I can close both of the front doors with these buttons here, and I can close my rear door with this button right here. Very slow and dramatic indeed. And it wouldn't be a Rolls-Royce video without showing the umbrellas. We do have our little release button here. It pops out, and then you have your umbrella. And you have your double R's monogrammed on the handle. And then it pops in with a nice satisfying click. I should also mention there's an umbrella on the other side as well. But what we have down here is your VIN plaque, Rolls-Royce Goodwood, and then a serial number. This is about a $1,200 option, but it does have some class to it. And of course we have floating center caps for our Art Deco Gatsby-esque wheels, and they look really cool. And then we're making our way to the back so I can show you the $3,700 illuminated tread plates. It looks a little bit more dramatic at night, but we also, in typical Rolls-Royce fashion, have the Starry Night headliner. And yes, you will get shooting stars that run across the headliner. And this is just spectacular and intoxicating at night. But one of Paulo's favorite things about this car and the Cullinan that we were in is the Rolls-Royce bespoke audio system. It sounds spectacular, but don't touch the grills because they do have a tendency to be a little bit sharp, almost like cheese graters, but they do sound the business. And who doesn't love a nice, thick lamb's wool car? I mean, look at this. Look at this. You're going to want to go barefoot in here, so I guess it's a nice thing that we're some of the first journalists to get our hands on this. And one thing we complained about in the Cullinan was that the cup holders up front were a little bit too small, and they continue to be here in the Ghost. But good news, because in the rear we have a different cup holder. This one doesn't sound like it's breaking when you close it, and it does in fact fit my water bottle. So you'll love to see that. And if you couldn't tell, purple was the color theme of this car. This is Belladonna purple, and even on the interior, you have purple leather. And for a zero cost option, Rolls-Royce will color match your key. That's pretty sweet. Close. Close. And then, just a little ASMR stuff. It sounds like the turn signal is like whenever you've been at a wedding and you clink your champagne flute to make the couples kiss, it kind of sounds a little bit like that. And speaking of ASMR, and our last two little things have to do with the trunk. One, obviously you have a powered trunk, but you even have a little Spirit of Ecstasy on your power trunk release button. Hey guys, real quick, Matt here. Just wanted to say I hope you've been enjoying the video. If you have, would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it does go a long way in helping us get access to cars sooner and get access to manufacturer engineers so we can get more information on the cars and get you more information so you can make better decisions. So would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe, like, comment, the whole YouTube thing. But with that, let's get back to the video. V12.
So smooth.
Supple torque. What a thing, man.
Yeah, that is awesome.
This is quite the Rolls-Royce experience. Just like something about being in a sedan. I don't want to give too much, but like let's go into your standouts. What hit you the most?
Yeah, I think that's the first thing I noticed is like being in a sedan feels like a really authentic Rolls-Royce experience to me.
Yeah, we should preface by saying I don't know which video is going to come out first. It might be this one, but we were in the Cullinan earlier this week. So we went from Cullinan immediate back to back with the Ghost. And there is something about being in a sedan lower, closer to the road. Yeah. It almost feels a little bit more like you're in flow.
Right, yeah.
That's very cool.
No, but that really stood out. And then as I take this corner, my mind goes rear steer.
Rear steer.
And it is so good in this application of a sedan with this air suspension, how it levels you out. It's probably one of my favorite things actually of the whole Ghost experience is just the rear steer and how it corners. It's really it's insane. The
poise and the composure that this thing exhibits is just unreal because you would think it's this big boaty floaty thing, and it is to a degree, but at no point is it sloppy. Yeah. Like the air suspension is crazy, the chassis balance is pretty crazy. This thing actually has like a pretty close to 50-50 weight distribution. So with the rear steer, we've got Eagle F1 tires. I know, like, it'll actually kind of go a little bit, and obviously V12, but it does a lot. It does a lot of things.
No, I think just like a quick comparison to the Cullinan though, like it doesn't feel as isolated, and you can feel the bumps a little bit more, but it's still really refined. It's still really quiet. Does a nice job of isolating, just not as good as the Cullinan, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because during our week leading up to this, I was like, man, I'm so excited for the Ghost. It's gonna it's a sedan. It's classic Rolls-Royce, so authentic. We had the Cullinan first. And we were like, damn, this is really good. Like the ride is incredible, the cabin refinement, the quietness, unbelievable. And I was just thinking the Ghost is going to be even better. And like, we're splitting, I guess shades of gray, but I think the Cullinan actually is a little bit like quieter, more refined, suppler. Like there's $50,000 extra in as tested prices between these two, and I think that goes to some of that cabin isolation.
I will say though, if I'm driving either of these, I'm picking the Ghost.
Yeah.
I'm picking a sedan because I just think it's a better driving experience for me. It just like with the rear steer, how it corners, it's just really good.
Yeah,
it's serene.
It's the Clarkson meme, right? We use this too much, but like you look at the Cullinan, this is brilliant, but I like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah, some other things I guess that stood out. The rear seats, so we have the immersive seating package, which I think is an absolute must in any Rolls-Royce that you get. I think here it's like an 11K option. In the Cullinan, it's a bit more. I think it's like 18 or 20K option. But it lets you recline the seats a little bit. You get massage seating back there. Here we don't have cooled seats in the back, but I think you can option that.
Yeah. But yeah, they recline. They've got the crazy headrests and everything.
The headrests are really good.
Leather wrapped pillows.
I'd say competes with the EV9. Those are in a class of its own.
Rolls is going to be so thrilled that we're comparing their headrest to a Kia.
No,
but those headrests are amazing.
Yeah,
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's very cool. I do like the rear seat. I think that's one of the places that the Cullinan feels a little bit more. There's more space. You know, this is less of a chauffeured car, and just like you throw people in the back when you want to. It's more of a driver's focused Rolls, if you could say that.
Right. Yeah. We were just talking like why it feels like that, and these front seats are extremely thick. And
there's a picnic table on the back. There's a screen on the back.
You can't really like use the folding table, I think, like as intended. And then we were just talking too, like I wish it kind of came out of the center console there in the back. I think that would make more sense for
a little
like
bit closer to you, overhang your lap versus having to reach out maybe a little bit.
The only other thing I'll mention back there again is like not the best resolution in the screens, but I think there is like some aftermarket stuff that you can get to do 4K if you really wanted to back there.
But now you can stream two things independently.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And then I did want to touch on like styling and kind of get your opinions on this too. Like I think the front is mean and menacing. I love the new daytime running lights. I think those are like a really cool shape.
They're cleaned up a bit. Yeah, you get that low angle, and especially depending on where the sun is, it just looks black and like bad guy car. You get a little bit higher, you get the sun more reflecting, and that's when the belladonna purple really starts to shimmer. But down low, especially in the shadows, it just looks real menacing.
Yeah.
I personally like the pre-facelift.
I do.
I like the headlights a little bit. It's just personal.
I do too. And then
you do too.
I do as well.
Oh, okay.
I like this, but I like the previous gen. Those are kind of the main things that stood out. And then I think the last thing is like, do we think it's worth $453,000? Like, how much is a badge worth to you?
We talked about this in the Cullinan too, right? So it's like you gotta look at this product in a different way than we generally approach things on the channel here, because we approach things all the time with pros and cons and like from a value proposition. Like, does this represent, you know, the best value in the segment versus its rivals? But here in the uber prestige, you know, ultra exotic luxury tier cars, like that's not really what you're looking for. And what you're looking for, in my opinion, what you're looking for in this class is like, what's the best riding, what's the best isolation, what's like the best wafting, you know, full luxury experience. And I think this has that. And so then being the best, they can charge whatever they want and the other people have to catch up.
Well, I think in addition to that, like they deliver on that, but because of the price tag, it also is rarity. It has exclusivity.
Right. Yes.
And then it also has this long-standing heritage that comes with, you know, the name and the badge and the spirit of ecstasy up front. Like,
and they can charge more because of that pedigree, and they do, and people will still buy it. And we talked about it again with the Cullinan. I hate to keep referring to that, but like when you see one, it's an event. Like it's kind of cool when you see a Bentley on the road. It's like, to the untrained eye, you don't even really notice a Maybach because like, okay, it's a GLS, okay, it's an S-Class. Like unless you really know, you don't know it's a Maybach. But when you drive, like when a Rolls-Royce drives past you, as we've driven past everyone this last week, they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like we were at a stoplight and there was kids in a Tesla next to us being like, whoa, holy shit. Like that's cool. So it is an event.
Right.
And I think that's part of what you can get away with charging the money that they do. Okay, so 5-star.
Yes.
Give me the rating here. Would you eat at the Rolls-Royce Ghost Cafe?
I certainly would.
I would at least 4.5 stars.
Yes. I would.
For those of you that don't know, he won't eat anywhere that's not at least 4.5 stars.
Otherwise, it's a waste of time, right? Like I think
Let's not get into this again on the
people
Rolls-Royce video.
people backed me up in the comments last time we had this conversation. I actually don't even think that video's out yet. I would say it is a 4.8, 4.7, 4.8.
Yeah. I think those last couple tenths for me would be like some of these like plastic chrome buttons here, and then just a couple, like the cup holder being a little bit bigger. No, I mean it's a fabulously luxurious, exotic. It's an event to sit in here and be part of this. So thank you to Tori, thank you to Rolls-Royce for letting us have a go. Thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.